Welcome. It's Thursday here in not so sunny, rather bleak and grey Santander. Welcome. It's Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy. Great to see you here. Great to be back. And today we're going to be looking at the exciting topic of the countryside. What's it like living in the countryside? What can you do there? The pros, the cons, language, idioms, and even some listening and some videos I'm going to share with you today. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait. While we're getting warmed up, let's begin with a little bit of this. Whoops. Let's try again. You can tell I'm out of practice, right? Of course I am. Hello, it's Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy and the YouTube channel English Speaking Success. If you don't know me, well, I do run the website, and I'll show you here. It's the website, thekeithspeakingacademy.com, as well as this YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. And I run the Facebook group, which is this one. Some of you are watching on Facebook as well. It's Keith's Mastermind Community for IELTS Speaking. So listen, it's great to be back. I've been off. Unfortunately, I was off last week. I had a problem with my leg. I had a torn ligament at the top of my leg, so I had to go and sort that out. But I am feeling much better now. Thank you, all of you, for your wishes and, you know, for me to get better and get well. I am feeling a lot better. Thank you. For those of you who are going to be taking the test soon, I hope that you're feeling confident. Wish you the very best of luck. I hope that goes absolutely great. I hope it goes swimmingly, as we say. Swimmingly. I hope it goes swimmingly. Very, very well. So, a few hellos. First in the house today was Saurabh and Sajid Khan. Hello. Artyom, nice to see you. We've also got Indra, who's been waiting for my class, waiting for 2 weeks, right? Because I was off last week. Aruna, hello, nice to see you. Rahul, I'm good, thank you very much. Nigar from Azerbaijan, great to see you. Who else is here? Yasmin, hello. Zartasha, hey Keith, hello there. Hanish, nice to see you. I'm very well, good to see you as well. People from all over the world, fantastic. We've got Amir from Iran, hello Amir. Gaurav, hello there. Who else? Steve is here. Steve's been following me for a long time. Thank you very much, Steve. And for all of you, I know a lot of you have been following me for a long time. Thank you so much for studying with me. I really do appreciate it. If you are new, welcome. Welcome to the class. I hope you enjoys today. Enjoys? I hope you enjoy today's class. Brr. Right. So I'm going to let you know something. If you're following me and looking for resources as well as the YouTube, so I do live lessons on YouTube, right? Every Thursday at 10 o'clock Spain time. Why Spain time, Keith? Because I live in Spain. Are you Spanish? No, I'm from Manchester in England, but I do live in Spain. And that's why. So 10 o'clock every Thursday, live lessons. Also Saturdays, I record a video, goes out on YouTube. But I want to show you this because we've also got the website, right? Some of you know the website, Keith Speaking Academy. Just to let you know, because there's lots of resources on there, as you can see. You can find out, by the way, it's the fun and professional way to prepare for IELTS. You can find out about the test, the evaluation, different topics, part 1, 2, and 3. So all information about the test is there. Of course, the live lessons, like today, are recorded on YouTube, and you can go and download them after the class. You can come and watch them again if you want. 2 weeks ago, we did Keeping Fit. So you can download the notes, for free, or you can just study the lesson. And if you want the past lessons, you can pick up the PDF and go and study the lessons just by clicking on the link. I think I've updated all of the PDFs now, I think. So do let me know if I'm missing anything, but there you go. Lovely, hunky-dory. Now then, if you're on YouTube, for those of that you are, do remember just to subscribe on the channel so you can find out about the latest notifications if you turn that on about new videos coming up. Had a great video last Saturday that I enjoyed making about thinking in English. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Last week's video, Thinking in English, I thought it was quite interesting. Interesting discussion that came up after it as well. So today, what are we going to do today? Well, let me share with you, right? We're going to be looking at the countryside today. I'm a big fan of the countryside. Nature, flowers, leaves in your hair, what hair you've got left. We're going to look at the countryside, right? We're going to have a look at some vocabulary, especially about cows. I don't know why, but we're going to talk quite a bit about cows today. We're going to be looking at activities in the countryside. I wonder what you do in the countryside, right? Some people look at the stars. Some people feed the horses. I don't know. We're going to find out and talk about that. We'll look a little bit about the pros and the cons, of course, the advantages and the disadvantages of living in the countryside. As well as I've got a nice listening task with you, for you, with me in a video. We'll also be doing some idioms, right? Things like, I mean, do you know this one? The early bird catches the worm. It's one of those kind of older idioms, but we still use it. Absolutely. So we're going to be looking at that and what it means and how that can be useful for you. And what else are we going to do? We're going to finish up on Kahoot, the Kahoot review. Brilliant. Our game, as always, that we finish up on. So, the countryside. Let's begin with the countryside. Now then, I'm just going to come back and just check how you're all doing. Say a few hellos, because it's been a long time, right? So we've got Adil Idris, who says, in fact, I've got addicted to your Thursday class. Oh dear, I'm eagerly awaiting your useful tutorials. Thank you very much. Yan Zhuang says, we have a similar idiom in Chinese about the early bird catches the worm. Yeah, it's true. Get up early and your life will be full of wealth, prosperity, happiness, and worms. Right, good. We've got, who else is in the house? Hello, Shirley from Hong Kong. Hello, Shirley. And you look fresh, says Ashraf. I'm looking fresh. Great. Nice to know that. I'm feeling a lot better and a lot fresher. So let's begin. Let's begin with this. If I can find my notes, I've got a little puzzle for you to begin, right? Over here, I've got some words and I've put the words... well, I've split them up, a bit like when you're chopping the vegetables and all the vegetables are mixed up. So there are lots of words here to do with the countryside, right? I wonder if you can see them. So, for example, you can see the word rural, right? That's the first word. Can you see the other words connected with countryside? Write them in the comments box and let's see what you can do. Brilliant. Sajid has found mountain. Well done. Sharon has found valley. Nice one. Saurabh has found forest and lake. Well done. We've got Javine has found stream. Interesting. Nice one. Now then, Magdi has got rustic, but I don't know where rustic is. I didn't see rustic. It's a good word, but it's not in my list. Just a random person. Just a random person has got hills. Yes, well done. Hills is in there. What else have we got up on Facebook? Somebody's got lake. I'm having trouble with my comments today. No, they don't want to join. Sorry, can't get you in. What else have we got? What else? Anything else? No, it's not working. My comments share is not working. Ah, Edith. Lake and farm. Well done. Well done. You're still missing some. UH says hill we've had. Great. Ooh, so there's one that's nobody's got yet. I can't see anybody with it. Ah, Carlos. Where are you, Carlos? Come back. You just disappeared. Carlos had greys and also Ashraf had greys. Well done. Great. And Fio had farm. Fantastic. Well done. So let me just separate them for you. Make it clear. We've got mountain. We've got hill. Valley. We've got forest. Do you remember Forrest Gump? If you're my age, you'll remember. If you're a millennial, you're like, Forest who? We've got fields. We've got greys. And we've got farm. Excellent. Great. Now, most of these words, I'm sure that you know, right? I mean, rural is basically, just to be clear, is related to the countryside. To the countryside. Similar to rustic, right, is a similar thing. Rural is the adjective. Rustic is also a nice adjective. We talk about a rural house, a rural valley, a rural setting. Rustic is more about things like a rustic house, a rustic table. You know, those wooden tables that feel they're from the countryside. Rustic. The opposite would normally be urban, right? Urban, which is also an adjective, which is connected to the city or related to the city. Urban landscape, for example. Okay, great. So two important words, rural and urban. Mountain, I'm sure you know. Hills and valley, I think you know. Forest and lake, you know. Streams and fields. Graze, you may know or may not know, is to eat. But normally to eat grass. So we talk about the sheep grazing because they eat grass. We talk about cows grazing. They like to graze in the field or on the farm because they eat grass. Okay. Now, all of these are straightforward words. I think what's more important than the straightforward words is to look at the collocation, right? Vocabulary and collocations, because this, I think, let me make this a little bit bigger. Is that bigger? That's better. Because when you're learning vocabulary, you do not want to learn just the one word, right? If you learn farm, how do you use it? You don't really know. And if you learn rural, how do you use it? Much, much better is to learn collocations, right? Collocations, for those of you who don't know, collocations are where you've got two words, right, that go together. Like in English, we talk about black tea. We don't say red tea, we say black tea. Heavy rain, rural landscape. Two words, maybe three, normally two, that go together. Think of them as best friends, right? You've got words that like other words and they don't like other words, but their friends are the collocates or collocations, right? So when we talk about collocations, it's learning words that go together. Rural landscape, great one, right? Mountain range, hiking in the hills, steep valley, right? And I'm just going to show you this very briefly to make it clear what they are. Rural landscape, right? And I'm going to show this because I've been experimenting with my camera. And let me see if I can do this for you, right? So if we have a rural landscape, let's imagine we've got a few mountains over here. And maybe they're snow-capped mountains. Being up here in the Picos de Europa in Spain, we've got lots of snow-capped mountains. So you've got here, right, or here, you've got the peak. So this would be a mountain peak. The top of the mountain is the mountain peak. All of these together would be the range. The mountain range, all of those together. A rural landscape, you've probably got a river running down to a lake or a lake. And you've probably got a few trees dotted on the mountains. Probably fir trees dotted on the mountains, right? So this is a rural landscape. Great. We've got a mountain range. Maybe we've got somebody over here who is hiking in the hills. There you've got it. Very, very simple, right? So rural landscape, the mountains, the forest, the stream, the river. Mountain range is a group of mountains. Hiking in the hills, common collocation. A steep valley. Now a valley, right, if you don't know, let's imagine you've got a mountain over here. And then down here you've got another mountain coming up. And down here you've got some houses. And this is a little village, maybe a hamlet with a bit of smoke coming up, right? Now, the houses are in the valley. This is the valley. And look at this mountain, right? It's not kind of a gradual hill. It's a really steep mountain, like a cliff. So this steep mountain, we talk about a steep valley. It's a very deep valley or a steep valley, right? Nice, that's it. That's when we talk about a steep valley. Other words we can use, again, collocations. We can talk about a dense forest. Let me make these a little bit bigger. Dense forest. So instead of saying, I like to go to the forest or I visited a forest, I visited a dense forest. What is a dense forest? A dense forest is with lots of trees together. So here, do you remember I said the trees were dotted? So when you've got trees that are dotted, that's just one or two. But when you've got lots of trees together, Keith drawing lots of trees, and the trees are very, very close. Lots of trees very, very close. This is a dense forest. We can talk about a dense population. So if you've got lots of people living in the village, in the steep valley, there's a dense population. There's a dense forest, right? Great. We can talk about a dense forest. Freshwater lake. Most lakes are freshwater. I think you've got the Dead Sea that has salt. You do have some saltwater lakes, but most of them are freshwater. Fast flowing stream. Here again, right? My little river or stream. If it's moving very quickly, then it's a fast flowing stream. A stream is just a river. Exactly the same. It's normally a bit smaller than a river, right? And here you've got the lake where you can go fishing. So you've got a freshwater lake, a fast-flowing stream, and fields. Fields full of corn, flour, or wheat. Fields of gold. Wasn't that a song by Sting? Fields of gold. Yeah, fields. So when you talk about the field in the countryside, often we say a field of something. A field of flowers, for example. Let me show you. A field of lavender. A field of flowers. Field of, link it. Field of. Field of. Field of flowers. because it's an F, flowers. Field of flowers. Can you say that? Field of flowers. I saw a field of flowers. Nice. So can you see when you use the collocation field of flowers, your fluency goes up because you're not thinking word by word. I saw a field of flowers. No, I saw a field of flowers. I saw a field of flowers. You're upping your fluency. So collocation's really good. Maybe a field of wheat. A field of wheat like this. Wheat is a kind of cereal. You often have, it's used for making breakfast cereals. A field of wheat. Can you say that? A field of wheat. A field of corn. Whoop. Why is that so small? That's a surprise. I thought it was going to be a big picture. Now it's a big picture. Now you can see the behind the scenes, how Keith does his pictures on his software. A field of corn. And that there is a bit of corn on the cob. Brilliant. So a field of something, right? All of these very, very useful. Fields of, or fields full of, even better. Gosh, I can even teach myself. Fields full of flowers. And grazing, we talked about this. Cows and sheep graze in the fields. Cows and sheep graze, eat grass in the fields. And finally, farm produce. Now notice this word, right? The stress is on the produce. Farm produce. Why? Because it's a noun. It's not the verb to produce. No. Produce. Farm produce are the things like milk, corn, the food, maybe the meat they sell, if they sell the pork or the beef. The farm produce are the things the farm sells, right? So basically your vegetables, meat, maybe eggs, all of those things. That's the farm produce. Just maybe bring that up. Farm produce. Can you say it? Because it's difficult. It's not difficult. It's just being careful you don't say produce, but produce. Farm produce. Hey, you've got it. You've absolutely got it. Fantastic. Great. There you go. We should draw a little farm, but I'm not going to draw a little farm. I'm going to give up my career as an artist and stick to being a teacher, an English teacher. Okay, some interesting vocabulary. How are you guys doing? Greetings from Russia. Karamanji talks about crops. Yeah, that's a good word, right? So we could add farm crops. It's good. Let me add these and I'll share them with you in a moment. Farm produce, well done. Helen talks about farm produce, eggs, milk, meat, and cheese. One of my favourites. Love cheese. Yep. Great. Fields of corn, wool. Again, that can be a farm produce. Could be. I tend to think of farm produce as edible, eating stuff. But actually, wool, you're right. Magdi, yeah, they're actually fresh from the farm. See, that's what I'm thinking. Farm produce is fresh food. Does it include wool? I'm going to double check that. That doesn't sound quite right. Farm harvest, we've got a nice collocation there. Yep. A field of cattle, great. Yeah, brilliant. Let me add that. A field of cattle. Cattle, just for your knowledge then, cattle are things like cows, yak maybe, tend to be the bigger animals, right? Cows or yaks. Brilliant. Anything else? Fields of cherry blossom. There you go. There's a culturally local one. That sounds like something you'd see in Asia rather than Britain. I don't think we've got much cherry blossom. Right, and a good summary here. Thank you, Deechak. Countryside is the topic today. Absolutely, today is all about countryside. Nice. That's a nice little reminder. Excellent. So, farm crop. Let me add that and just make this a bit bigger. Farm crops, I like it. A field of cattle, nice word. There's another word which we're going to see in a moment, which is livestock. Well, we're going to see it now. What do you mean in a moment, Keith? Let's see it now. Why wait? Now, cattle is your bigger animals, tends to be the cows, the yaks. Livestock is all of the animals on a farm. So that's going to be your cows, your sheep, your chickens. Depends on your farm, of course. I know not all farms have animals or these animals, but it's all the animals, basically, the livestock, right? Accent on the I, the livestock. Great. Very good word to use. A field of livestock, the farm livestock, feeding the livestock, selling the livestock. Excellent. Good. Great. Okay. So we've looked there at quite a lot of what? We've been looking at countryside, right? So the first thing that we've looked at here, we've looked at vocabulary. The cows. What's up next? Countryside activities. Well, yes and no. Before we look at activities, before I jump the gun, let me move over, literally, over here. And I want to talk a little bit about where you live, right? Paper over here. I'm going to do another drawing for you. Where do you live? So there are different places, right? Let's imagine we've got here the city centre, right? Slap bang in the middle of the city centre. And then you've got the city over here. And then you've got kind of outside the city, you may have something we call the outskirts. I know, gosh, the focus isn't great, is it? That's a bit disappointing. Or suburbs. I'll put this on the thing in a moment. Outskirts or suburbs. So you've got the city centre or downtown, as they call it. Downtown. Downtown. When I was many, many years ago, a long time ago, when I left university, I went to America for a year. I don't know if they still have it. They had a scheme called BUNAC, and a lot of British students would go to America. I went to America for a year to live. And I remember arriving in America thinking, this is great. And everybody will understand me. I can understand American English. And I remember on the first or second day walking into Washington, D.C., down R Street, and asking a couple of people, saying, where's the city centre? And they were like, yo, what? I was like, which way is the city centre? And they're like, yo, dude, which city? Like Washington? I'm like, no, the city centre. And this conversation went on for like 5 minutes where they were like completely confused. Go, what? And in the end, another guy listening came up and said, yo, he wants to go downtown. Downtown. And I'm like, downtown? What's that? And then we all realised, we were speaking English. We didn't understand each other. City centre, downtown. But eventually I found the downtown, the city centre. Great. So city centre, outskirts, suburbs. And then, of course, you've got the countryside. This is looking like a fried egg. Whoops. And that's me knocking the camera. Countryside over here. So all of this, the kind of the rural area. And of course, you may have some towns on the outskirts or even in the countryside, right? So these are smaller than the city. But if they're very small, they're not called towns, they're called villages. And if they're really small, they're called hamlets. Hamlets, yes, like Shakespeare's Hamlet. A hamlet, apparently, is a very, very small village, but smaller than a village. And Hamlets don't have churches. So that's the difference, right? So that's it. Hello. Come over here. Where do you live? So city centre, we talked about city centre or downtown. We've talked about suburbs, countryside, the village or the hamlet. I'm interested. What about you guys? Where do you live? Do you live in the city centre, slap bang in the city centre? Or do you live in the suburbs, in the countryside, in a village or in a hamlet, right? Which is a small village. I mean, a village is small, but a hamlet is really small. I think that's very British, by the way, hamlet. I'm not sure if they've got hamlets in the United States. I wonder where you live. Right, so we've got a few comments up here. We've got in the city centre. Oh, I can't. Only one person lives in a hamlet. No, not one person, but only a few people. We've got Bazak says, I have been living on the outskirts of the city for donkey's years. Well done. Nice. Very, very nice. Where else? People we've got here, we've got Lakvia lives in a village. Great. Tinu in a village. Pedikartik, I live in city centre. Right. Very good point, Pedikartik, because this will help everybody to be aware that we say, I live in the city centre, right? I live in the city centre. I live in the suburbs. I live in a village. Yeah. Hello from Peru. Angie, I think you're our first Peruvian ever. Bienvenida. City centre. Karamjit says countryside. Great. Biti, really? Biti Coca? That's a great name. Love it. Biti Coca. I live in the city centre. Spot on. Well done. Nice, nice. Heartbeat is living in a village. Great. Another one here in the city centre. Fantastic. Remember the city centre. Great. Please teach us the schwa sounds, Maliha. Okay, Maliha, I will do. Good point. Brilliant. Now we've got some nice expressions. I live in the heart of the city. That's great. Somebody lives in the city of lights. Great. Aung lives in the middle of the city centre, right? So there are all different possibilities. So city centre, we can say I live in the heart of the city. I live, let's put this, I live in the heart of the city, slap bang in the city centre. So all of these follow on. I live in the heart of the city, slap bang in the city centre. What was the other one we had? I live in the, I can't remember what it was. I live in the middle of the city. Yeah, all of these are great, right? I live in the suburbs. The same, right? In the suburbs, in the countryside. I live in the countryside. Blur coming to mind. I live in a village. Or I live in a hamlet. Yeah, you're probably not going to use hamlet, but it's there. A hamlet. A hamlet is a very, very small, it's a very, very small village. I'm laughing because if I take you to Google, right? Let me show you over here. Let me just show you briefly Google. If we look up hamlet, if Google will let me, I looked it up before, right? A hamlet. It gives us here a small settlement, generally one smaller than a village, and strictly, in Britain, one without a church. And when you go on the images, right, you get lots of very small settlements. These are hamlets, right? Very, very small. But look what happens if we look up the word Hamlet without a. And this is a great way to remember it. Suddenly it becomes Shakespeare. Hamlet, the character, right? Do you remember? Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. The famous scene with the skull. There you go. There's trouble in Denmark. There's problems in Denmark. Right, good. That's Hamlet. So that's one way to remember Hamlet and a Hamlet, the difference between a Hamlet. Okay, great. Now then, countryside. Let's come back. Next, what to do? We talked about activities, right? Activities to do in the countryside. What are the kind of things we can do in the countryside? First of all, the first thing you can do in the countryside is have a drink of water. Ah, nice. So, things that you can do in the countryside. Let me share with you some ideas, and then we'll discuss together. You can visit a farm, right? Of course, you can go and visit a farm. You can buy produce. You can learn about farming. A lot of farms have little education centres. In fact, you don't need an education centre. Just go to the farm, speak to the farmer. You can learn about farming, rearing livestock. So rearing livestock, you'll remember livestock is animals, and to rear is to breed, which is to bring up animals. You can't rear children. You could, but you can't. And you don't really breed children. To breed is normally when you look after animals in order to sell them or eat them. So that's breeding with a specific purpose. So rearing is to bring up, look after, rearing livestock. You can learn about that. Go to a farm. You can learn how they look after the cows, how they look after the sheep, how they look after the chicken. Hopefully, if they do. You can feed the animals. You can buy local produce. Remember that? So these are things you can do on the farm, right? Some farms do let you feed the animals. Some of them don't. We went to a farm in Australia, actually, and this was quite a few years ago, and it's absolutely brilliant. In the farm, they showed us how they look after the animals. They showed us sheep shearing. Sheep shearing, not Ed Sheeran, but sheep shearing is where they take the coat off the skin of the sheep, right? The sheep has lots of wool. They have a shaving machine like I use on my hair, and they shear the sheep. They shave the sheep. It's called shearing. So they shear the sheep and they take off the wool. And they showed us how they did it. And they let us have a go. So we could try our hand at shearing the sheep. The farmer would hold the sheep and we would shear it. And also we could feed the little lambs. They had lambs that had just been born. It was springtime and they had bottles. And especially some of the weaker lambs, or if a lamb was sick, they would feed it with a bottle for a period and they would let the visitors feed it with a bottle. Of course, most of the time it's feeding from the mother. So yeah, interesting. Farms can be really interesting places to visit, especially if you are a city person, a bit like me, and a bit ignorant about farms. If you live in the countryside, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you don't want to go to a farm. Maybe you want to go to the cinema in the city, right? It depends. But looking at language, right? The language we can use, very basic, right? You can. Now notice, it's not you can, it's you can. Somebody, was it Marge, who talked about the schwa sound, the schwa sound in English is the most common sound. It's the sound at the end of teacher, teacher, can. So most words that are not stressed have this sound, right? That's why when you listen to British people or American people, they don't say you can visit a farm. They say you can visit a farm. Can, and it's a can, and it's just a k, n. You can, even the U becomes yeah, you can, right? It's almost, I don't know how to write it. It's almost like you can. It's almost like that. You can visit a farm. You can learn about farming. Try it with me. You can visit a farm. You can feed the animals. You can buy local produce. Yeah, perfect, right? It's almost like you can. I'll leave that there just to help you remember. So you can visit, or you can say the countryside is great for visiting. So here you're going to put the ing, right? The countryside is great for visiting. The countryside is great for feeding the animals. Or the farm is great for feeding the animals. The countryside is great for hiking in the mountains, in the steep valley, amongst the deep, dense forests. Remember collocations, right? We're building up. Or a nice expression, I like nothing better than, which means I like a lot. So if I like cooking a lot, I like nothing better than cooking at the weekend. And notice it's ing again, right? I like nothing better than, let me just put the ing on here. I've got my camera in the way, that's why I can't see. I like nothing better than visiting a farm. I like nothing better than learning how they rear the livestock. I like nothing better than hiking in the steep I like nothing better than hiking in the mountains, across the mountain ranges, through the dense forests, following the fast-flowing streams down to the lovely freshwater lakes. Hooray! Collocations are the secret to your success, my friend. Really. Just keep practicing collocations. So what can you do in the countryside? Guys, give me a message. Tell me what you can do in the countryside and let's have a look. Right, we've got Paola. Hello, Paola. Paola is one of our moderators in YouTube. I like nothing better than eating my most favourite local produce, which is ant eggs. Wow, seriously. Ant eggs. Sounds interesting. Nice. I'm hungry. Yan Zhuang says, I like nothing better than learning different cultures and languages. Spot on. Lovely. Blue Moon, fishing at river with friends, cooking in the countryside. Great. Very nice. So just be careful. Rather than at, we would say fishing in the river. Yeah. Fishing in the river, cooking in the countryside. Countryside usually has the, in the countryside. Yeah, fantastic, nice. Helen is after the same idea. I like nothing better than fishing in the streams of the countryside. Don't worry, Helen, this is going to catch everybody out. The countryside. It's so difficult to get it, but it's there, the countryside. Countryside as one word as well, right? Countryside as one word. Very nice. Brilliant. Emmy, that's got nothing to do with the countryside. But lovely English, lovely English. Tang Tao says, I can enjoy swimming in the river if I live in the countryside. Perfect. Nice. Very, very nice. Rogaye says we can enjoy along nature and magnificent hills. Great, great. Carlos likes stargazing. Nice one. Stargazing is great. The countryside is great for stargazing, right? The countryside is great for stargazing. We've got Yosra says, you can plough the field. You can plough the field. The countryside is great for unwinding. That is true. I like that. Unwinding, relaxing. I like nothing better than enjoying the lush scenery. Cactus wheat emoji. Lovely. Very nice. Great. Hugh likes nothing better than learning languages. Okay. Now, Kang, you can milk the cows. That's very true, and that's great to milk the cows. Lovely. Very, very nice. Love it. Sudula, swim in the ponds. Yeah, why not indeed? You've got a typo there, but that's fine. Swim. I know you mean swim. Swim in the ponds. Great. You could also ride the horses. Yeah, riding horses or riding the horse. Riding the horse. If you say the horse, you're talking about a specific horse, right? Because it's the horse. If you're just talking generally, we would generally use the plural, right? I like riding horses. You can go riding horses. But I like to go and ride the horse in my farm is a specific horse. So we use the, right? Great. Very, very nice. Okay, Stock Fan, thank you very, very much. Brilliant. Let me share with you a few other ideas that I wrote down, things you can do in the countryside. We've probably covered most of these. Let me just make that a bit bigger. You can buy local produce from the farm, of course, from the farms, all the local shops. You can go hiking, or the countryside is great for going fishing. You can gaze at the stars. Yes, somebody put stargazing, which is also nice. You can look at the constellations, right? Whoop. The constellations are the different shapes of the stars, like the Big Bear, the North, not the North Pole. What's it called? Oh, you've got Orion, Pegasus. These are all different constellations. Let me just make sure that you've got this. Let's have a look. Constellations. Here we go. Constellations. So they're the shapes of the stars. I mean, some of the most common ones are up here. You can see. You've got Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpius, and of course these are typically the ones you get in the in different skies, but in the horoscopes as well, right? Look at that. Stargazing, touring the night sky. It's too small, but yeah, it's too small to see. But those are the constellations. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, right? You can have a picnic, of course. You can learn to identify some trees or mushrooms or butterflies or constellations, right? Let me just make that clear. Star shapes. Or patterns, maybe. Great. Those are all different activities that we can do in the countryside. Okay, lovely. So let me come back. Let me take a moment, see how you guys are doing, see what's coming up next. I always do forget, which is why I need to come back and check. It's nice to have this because I can come back and find out what I'm doing. Not only do you know, but I know. We've talked about things we can do in the countryside. I'm going to spend a few moments looking at the pros and cons of the countryside. Now, we had a bit of a mix, right? Some of you live in the countryside. Quite a number of you lived in the city centre, and some of you in between, in the suburbs. But I love that. It's got... I wonder what are the pros and cons of living in the countryside, right? What do you like and dislike about living in the countryside? Let's have a look. Let's make some comments and we'll discuss it together. Jan, my leg is much better. Thank you very much. Excellent. Right. While you're doing that, I'll just have a little bit of music and I'm going to have another drink. Pros and cons in the comments for the countryside. Nice. In the suburbs, on the outskirts. You can say both, actually, both with them. Right, let's share a few of your comments here. So Harpreet talks about the good environment. So I assume that's a positive, right? Fresh oxygen. Yes, we would tend to say fresh air. I think unless you're a scientist, a scientist will say fresh oxygen. But I think generally in conversation, we would say fresh air, right? Mangesha talks about fresh air and clean environment. These are great collocations, by the way. Fresh air, clean environment. Nice. Overcrowded in the city. Right. Good point, right? Overcrowded. With an ED on the end. Overcrowded in the city. In the countryside, lots of greenery. Nice. Right. Good. What else have we got? I reckon the communication in the countryside is not so convenient. Nice. Yeah. Good. I'm just going to make a few notes and add these in. Bear with me. I'll share these with you in a moment. Good. Good. Bear with me. Bear with me. Wait. What else have we got? We can get fresh air. Nice. We can get fresh air. Very nice. Slow pace of life. That's nice in the countryside, right? Yeah, a slow pace of life or a laid back pace of life we talk about as well. Similar theme, Malika, excuse me for pronunciation. We can live there without stress. Yeah, we can live there without stress. Just be careful on your spelling, Malika. There as in there, E-R-E, right? Great. Quiet. Yeah, it's quiet and peaceful. Yeah, quiet and peaceful. Quiet and peaceful. So in English, we have a lot of these we call binomials, where you have blum and plum, black and white, quiet and peaceful, neat and tidy, right? These are common binomials. Quiet and peaceful is a nice one, right? Quiet and peaceful in the countryside. Good surroundings, yep. A slower pace of life, says Stanushka. Less air pollution and noise pollution. Yeah, great. That's a good one. Less air and noise pollution. Brilliant. Very nice. Thank you very much. In fact, let me share these with you as we're putting them up. So, again, let me try and make these a bit quicker. Quicker? Bigger. So we've got fresh air, lots of greenery, a slow or laid-back pace of life, quiet and peaceful, less air and noise pollution. Okay, I'm just going to change the font, the color. talking about the cons, the kind of the negative, we've talked about a weak communication network. We've also got from Micha fewer job opportunities. Now, Micha, why do we say fewer instead of less? I can't hear you, Miha. You have to speak up. No, I'm joking, of course. Less, right, is used with uncountable things, like less coffee, less water. Few is used with countable, few people, few opportunities. So fewer, right, is fewer job opportunities rather than less. Let me just change that. So just remember, it's a great opportunity. It's a great learning opportunity. Oh, what's happened? Sorry, Miha. I've completely destroyed your post. Fewer job opportunities. Fewer job opportunities because we can count them. So it's fewer, right? Let me move that. You can see fewer job opportunities. Christian says, I don't like it when the hospital is far away. Yep, good point. Anything else talking about negatives? Let's see. Lack of essential facilities. Nice. Let me add that one as well. So that kind of includes the hospital idea. So generally speaking, lack of essential facilities. Very nice collocation. Love it. Thank you, Nat Dang. Yeah, Trippett has the same idea. There are not so many opportunities for the youth in the countryside. Anything else? Anything else which is a con? Amulya says no. No aversion towards the countryside. Fair enough. Low cost of living is definitely a pro, I think, right? And that's a nice expression, so let's have that as well. Low cost of living. Yeah, I mean, living in the countryside, much cheaper than the city, right? For many, many, many reasons. Thanks, Track. That's great. Okay, great. So listen, there's a few ideas here. We've got a few pros and a few cons of living in the countryside. Absolutely fine. That's great. There's more ideas, but I'm going to switch. We're going to move, right? We're going to move on and have a look at not the pros and the cons, but next up, I want to do a listening task, a listening activity. And actually, not last week, but the week before, when I set up this class, I always now set up a web page before the class so you can go in and do some activities to kind of activate your schemata if you're a teacher, to kind of get you ready, get you in the mood, get you thinking about the vocabulary you need, thinking about the ideas of the countryside. So what we had is actually, I'll show you, I shared with you this page. This was on the Keith Speaking Academy website, and we had this page about the countryside, and there was a task here to read the text and fill in the blanks, right? And we had, 45 people. I said I was going to mention everybody, but there's too many of you. There's Kopia and there's Christian. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail, right? And that page, maybe the moderators, you can share the link with everybody for that page. So it's the one about the countryside, IELTS speaking lesson, the countryside. And what I will do is I will show you that activity closer up. So let me just show you on my page. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let me show you closer up. This is the listening task, right? So what we're going to do in a moment is I'm going to ask you to listen and fill in the gaps. But let's have a look first at the text. So basically, what I love about the countryside is the silence, the sounds, the blank, and the views. What can you not love about the countryside? It's blank. I think it's going to blank soon. The mist. Look, the mist is rolling in over the hills, blank through the valleys. In fact, just over the road, you can hear the blank. If you can hear him, he's starting to blank the milk from the cows, right? Okay, so that is the text. Before you answer, don't give me any answers yet. Before we do that, I am going to have a look. I'm going to show you a short recording that I made of the web page and the different comments people made. Some of the comments were great. Some of them were correct. Some of them were not correct. I'm just going to show you my commentary about your comments, right? To show you what I thought of them. So this will just be 2 or 3 minutes. This is not the listening. Just sit back, get your favorite beverage, watch me on the Facebook page, and you can just listen to what I was talking about, right? So let's have a look at this over here. And I'm going to have a look at some of the comments you made. What I love about the countryside is the silence, the sounds, and we've got Kushan said the smells, interesting. Roller said the nature. Oh, interesting. I would say nature rather than the nature, I think. Benzebo says the weather. Right, nice. Benzebo also 2 comments. Why have you got 2 comments, Benzebo? Mary says the weather. And for number 2, what can you not love about the countryside? It's limited access to healthcare. Ah, that's interesting. Because when I say what can you not love about the countryside, it doesn't mean what's negative. It means what's positive. I know, a bit strange, right? That you have to love everything about it. Let's see what else we've got. Hilda says it's peaceful. Now that makes good sense. I think it's going to, Hilda again. Amruta says, I think it's going to rain soon here. That's a good answer. Very good. Kanwal says drizzle. Beautiful. That very soft rain we call drizzle. And actually, that's what it was like that day. Dr. Shihan Khan says for number 4, the mist is rolling in over the hills, clouds through the valleys. Ooh. It could be, but actually we're looking for a verb to describe the movement of the mist. Anna says shrouded. Oh, adjective. Right, the mist is rolling over the hills, shrouded through the valleys. Shrouded meaning covered. It could be a beautiful word, Anna. Arn says pass, sure, maybe passing. Interesting. Mihoko says for number 5, just over the road you can hear the farmer or neighbour. Great answer. What a poetic exercise. You are a fine British man. Thank you very much. Shakun says farmer as well. I like that, peeking and glancing, the mist glancing through the valleys. Very poetic, Shakun. We've got Mello, also said the farmer, and he's starting to draw the milk from the cows. Interesting, right? Draw the milk. That sounds quite nice. Also a bit metaphoric. And another comment from Mello. Hasina says express. Oh, you mean like espresso, expressing the milk? Possibly. I don't think it's the best word, but not bad. Prati says to fetch the milk. Very good. Prati, there's a little mistake. Lots of extra comments there. Shirpa was talked about. Sceneries for number 1, network problem for number 2. Remember number 2, it's not about the negative, but the positive. What else have we got? Thetpaeng, the sound of the breeze, rain heavily passing through. Great, you've gone for collocations. The villager and his sheepdog pup. That is brilliant. Thetpaeng, love it. Great. Prasita talks about calmness. That's nice. Number 6, squeeze in the milk. Yes, you can squeeze the milk. Antonio talks about extracting the milk, which I think is better rather than expressing the milk. Antonio also went for drizzle, which is beautiful for that soft rain. Mahisha talked about milking the milk. Well, you can milk the cows, but you can't milk the milk. Kalpana was also milking. Gabriella also milking. Not really. The others look very good, Gabriella, but you can't milk the milk. Susan, Collecting. Now that's better. I like that. Collecting the milk. Great. Olubunmi says also milk. The dairyman. Right. And that's it. Thank goodness. I thought I was going to go on forever and ever and ever. Great. Thank you so much for all of your comments there. Yeah, and that was only about 20 of the comments. There's another 26, but we're not going to watch all of them, I'm afraid. But thank you for the comments. Some really good ideas there. So just to clear up, there are a couple of interesting words that came out, and I'm just going to clarify before we do the listening task. Right? To talk about milking, right? To milk cows. So the verb is to milk cows. That's what we normally say. You can't milk milk, right? But you can extract milk from a cow. That's possible. And you can also gather milk from a cow. Now, one of you talked about expressing milk, and as a verb, yes, it exists. But the expressing of milk is normally from a woman who has just had a baby, and if you want to take the milk from the breast and put it into a bottle, then you're expressing milk, right? You're taking milk from the mother's breast. So that's to express milk. So not normally for an animal, not for a cow. That's to squeeze milk or extract milk. Express milk would be for a woman, really, right? And then that verb to drizzle came up a couple of times, right? To rain and to drizzle. So to drizzle is to rain lightly, and it's a really nice word to use, right? So those are really nice vocabulary points. So just to make that clear, to squeeze milk, says a Facebook, you can, again, you squeeze the udder. So the cow has the udder, and you squeeze the udder to extract the milk, right? So you can squeeze the udder to extract the milk. Yeah, okay. Great. Somebody's just arrived. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. We're still going. We've still got plenty to do. Plenty to go. Great. Okay. Now, let's do the listening. Okay, so we're going to listen to somebody walking in the countryside. As you listen, I want you to try and fill in the gaps in this text, right? You'll see the text on the video, and you can write your comment in the chat box, right, in YouTube or Facebook. So on that note, let's watch the video. It's just, I think, about 3 minutes. Listen carefully, write down your answers. What I love about the countryside is the silence. The sounds. The wind. The colours. The views. What can you not love about the countryside? It's gorgeous. I think it's going to rain soon here. The clouds are coming in, the mist, look, the mist is rolling in over the hills, billowing through the valleys. And this is the Pasiego valleys, down south of Santander, but in the north of Spain. And it's one of the kind of the oldie-worldy places that still remains in Spain. Sure, tourism has come, and I'm a great example of that. But it's kept its kind of pastoral beauty, and it's kept its closeness to nature. In fact, just over the road, you can hear the farmer, if you can hear him, is starting to gather the milk from the cows and putting it through a churn. Can you hear that? No, that's a dog. Oi. Dogs, loads of them in the countryside. And of course, one of the big things they do in this area is they make cheese. Lots of different kinds of cheeses. I don't know if you're a cheese fan. I am. I love cheese. Whether it's blue cheese, camembert, French, manchego, Spanish, or the parmesan from Italy. All sorts of cheeses. Goes with all sorts of stuff. But here, they churn out some of the best cheese in cheese or cheeses. Cheese. It's uncountable unless you're talking about types. It's a bit like fish, right? Fish. But fishes only if it's different species of fish or types of fish. Funny language, right, English? Look at that. You can see there are eagles up there. The mist. Absolutely beautiful. And there are some people coming up close behind. Those are not people, are they? Those are cows. Right? Time to get out of the way. Hello, my friends. How are you doing? Oh, my friends, the cows. That was so much fun. Great. So, well done. I'm looking at your comments. You've got loads of very good answers in there. That was nice. That was actually quite a few weeks ago. That was when we took a weekend to go into the Valle Pasiego, which is in the kind of the south of Cantabria, in the north of Spain. Beautiful countryside, these rolling hills, mountain ranges, dense forests, really beautiful. So great. Let's have a look at some of the answers that you've got there. So give me a moment. I'm going to go right back to when you started posting. Blue cheese. Yeah, it's strange blue cheese. What have we got? Number one. Let's bring this over here. What I love about the countryside is the silence, the sounds, the ba 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 ba. Right. Most of you said, like Jay, said the wind. Also, Rajvinder pointed out the colour. Yeah. The wind, the colours. I think I said colours because it's not just one colour. It was the colours, right? Excellent. Great. Well done. Sadna also had colours. What can you not love about the countryside? So Fatty said gorgeous. Well done. It's gorgeous. Yeah, meaning beautiful, right? I think it's going to something. I think it's going to, Sandia says rain. It's going to rain. Yes, exactly. It's going to rain. Well done. The mist, look, the mist is rolling over the hills. Something through the valleys. This was difficult, but a few of you got this. Niha, billowing. Beautiful, right? To billow is describing the movement of smoke when it goes up, right? So when you see the smoke go round and round and round and go up, that's billowing. So the smoke from a chimney in a house is billowing up. The clouds, as they're moving, and if they're moving and kind of twisting, they're billowing. Or the mist, of course, the mist is billowing. It can twist much more easily. I think it's difficult for the clouds to billow, but the mist and the fog certainly billows, right? With a B, not pillow, like sleeping, but billow. Billowing, well done then. That was great. What else have we got? In fact, just over the road, you can hear the what? Yes, which Chao says the farmer. And Maral also says the farmer. You can hear the farmer. Excellent. Great. If you can hear him, he's starting to... the milk. Mayada was right to gather the milk. Also, Jivan said, sorry, it was Jivan to gather the milk from the cows and putting it through the churn. One of the big things they do in this area, they make cheese. Lots of different kinds of... What did I say? What did we get? Did anybody get it? Well, cheeses, right? We've got Inas says cheeses. Re says cheeses. Lots of different kinds of cheeses. Again, cheese or cheeses. It's interesting because like fish and fishes, right? We say fish as the plural and cheese is the plural. But if it's different species of fish or different kinds of cheese, you can talk about cheeses. So Parmesan, Stilton, Camembert, Manchego are all different kinds of cheeses, right? Right, excellent. Well done. So that was it. Very, very nice. Well done, all of you. I'm just going to show you very, very quickly. I'm just going to go through the whole script and just point out one or two interesting phrases, right? This will just take me a moment. I'll just read through. What I love about the countryside is the silence, the sounds, the wind, the colours, the views. What can you not love about the countryside? It's gorgeous, right? Gorgeous meaning beautiful. I think it's going to rain here soon. The clouds are coming in. The mist, look, the mist is rolling in to the valley. So we say in because it's rolling in to the valley, but over the hills, billowing through the valleys. And this is the Pasiego Valley down in the south of Spain, in the south of Santander, but north of Spain. It's one of the kind of the oldie worldy places. Now, this is a strange expression, but oldie worldy places means old fashioned or traditional, basically, right? Traditional. When talking about a place, it's oldie worldy. So a traditional city or a traditional house. So you can talk about an oldie worldy house, an oldie worldy village, an oldie worldy hamlet. Tourism has come, and I'm a great example of that, but it's kept a kind of pastoral beauty. It's a nice expression, pastoral beauty. Pastoral, again, is kind of rural or rustic. Do you remember rustic we had at the start? Rustic means connected to the countryside. So pastoral also means connected to the countryside. It's kept its closeness to nature. Interesting, closeness. Interesting, using the noun. In fact, just over the road, you can hear the farmer starting to gather the milk, put it through a churn. The churn is just the container to put the milk in. There's a dog, loads of them. One of the things they do is they make lots of different kinds of cheeses. And then I talk about countable and uncountable cheeses. Okay, that's it. That's just a quick look. Right, that was the listening. Okay, good. What's coming up next? Let me see. Amarat says, Bob is your uncle. Love it. It's a very British expression. It's hard to explain, but when you've finished something and everything is perfect, you say, Bob's your uncle, right? We've done it. Bob's your uncle. Great. Thank you very much. Keith, I hope you've recovered well. Yes, I am on the mend. I am on the road to recovery. Thank you very much. Getting better and better. Right. I'm going to move on very briefly. I know I'm going to run out of time, but don't worry. I can stay. If you can stay, I can stay. If you need to leave, you can leave. But if you can stay, do stay. Because next, we're going to move on and have a look at idioms, right? For example, I mentioned this one, right? The early bird catches the worm. Apparently, there's a similar expression in Chinese. Probably, I think it's one of those expressions that most languages have an equivalent of, right? Something similar. So let's have a quick look at some idioms on this topic, right? Talking about the countryside. So we can say to head outdoors. Head not meaning head, but meaning to go in the direction, right? To head outdoors. So that means to go outdoors, basically. To go in the direction of outdoors. So basically to go outdoors, right? Let's go outdoors. Let's head outdoors. I'm going to head to the pub later. It's not true, but I'd like to. But I'm going to head out for lunch later. I'm going to head to the supermarket. I'm going to go, right? To head outdoors, to go outdoors. So literally in the direction of, but basically to go outdoors. Soak up the views, right? To soak up is to absorb, to enjoy. So it really means absorb, but basically to enjoy the views. If you have a cloth and some water and you put the cloth on the water, it soaks up, right? It takes up the water. So to soak up the views is to absorb or enjoy the view, right? Whether it's a view of a dense forest, a fast-flowing stream, a steep valley, collocations, right? You can soak up the views or take in the views. It's exactly the same, right? To soak up the views, to take in the views. It's that kind of typical thing. It's right. I remember when I was in Nepal, this was like quite a few years ago. How many years ago was that? I think 5 years ago. We went to Kathmandu, and we were in Kathmandu, and we went trekking into the hills, and it was beautiful. And we came over the top of a mountain, and it was just, the view was breathtaking, and we just stood there like for minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes without moving, and we took in the views and we soaked up the views because it was awesome. Just the mountains, the valleys, unbelievable. For those of you who are from Nepal, you have a beautiful country. You really do. Right. The early bird catches the worm means that the person who literally gets up early can make the most of the day. Right? If you get up early, you make the most of the day, meaning you get the most benefit. You get the most benefit if you get up early. So this is literally about getting up early, but it's not literally about eating worms. You can eat worms, and I have eaten worms, actually. When I was in Yunnan, we had worms, fried worms. Not bad, actually, a bit like crisps, quite nice. But this is not about eating worms. This is about getting up early to make the most of the day, right? And another one to get up early is to get up at the crack of dawn, to get up very early. Dawn is the start of the day. So at the crack of dawn just means to get up very early. I keep realising I'm doing that. My camera's in the way. Oh dear. Never mind. It's as old as the hills, meaning something is very, very old, right? It's very old. And again, you can use that for anything, not only the countryside. You could talk about this church is as old as the hills. This hamlet is as old as the hills. But also anything, I don't know, my car is as old as the hills if it's a really, really old car. Okay. And we've got to get away from the crowd. I think that's the last one I've got, which means to escape the noise. To escape the noise or the hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle. To find some peace and quiet. So to get away from the crowd is to find peace and quiet. Do you remember? We talked about binomials, peace and quiet, black and white. Be careful, you must not switch them, right? You cannot say it's white and black. No, black and white. I don't know why, it's just neat and tidy. You cannot say tidy and neat. Just doesn't, no. So peace and quiet, right? To find peace and quiet. It's a nice expression to use, right? To find peace and quiet. Or get away from the crowd. That's the idiom. I like to get away from the crowd now and again. Head up or head outdoors, head up to the mountains, soak up the views, go trekking, soak up the views. You could do the whole thing, right? You could say, I'd love to get away from the crowd. I'll get up at the crack of dawn, head out to the mountains, go hiking across the mountain range, through the dense forest, and then soak up the views and take in the beautiful nature. The whole shebang, the full Monty. Right, I'm sure that you've got a few extra idioms, and I've probably missed all your comments. Let's have a look. Any other ones to add? Any other idioms? Charming, stunning, Lenny says. Hello, Lenny. Can we say charming or stunning? For a view, a stunning view, yes. Charming, no. Charming person. Stunning view, charming person. Yeah. Alex says, I've got my exam tomorrow. Good luck, Alex. You and anybody else who has their exam, good luck. Oh, Pradeep. This is interesting, right? Because Pradeep says, run-of-the-mill, oldie-worldy. Different meaning. Run-of-the-mill means ordinary, nothing special. Oldie-worldy means old, traditional. So they're both very good expressions, but different meanings. Yeah. Any others? Solange says, what down in city do you love? I hear that you love in Santander. I do love in Santander. And I love heading out to the countryside, to the valleys, as you said, as you saw. Yes. Any others? Oh, I can't find any others. We've got Imran says, take in the views, absorb to enjoy the view. Lovely. Yuko says, I soaked up the views from the peak of the mountain. Good, well done. Peak of the mountain. Nice, very nice. Millie says, breathtaking. The view is breathtaking. Yes. Kavindi say, what's your name, teacher? Right, Kavindi, my name is Keith. Keith. It's the same Keith as the Keith Speaking Academy. Love it. Thank you very much. Great. The view of the countryside is breathtaking. Make my day. Soak up the nature every day. Great. Good. I think that's fine. I don't think we've got any new expressions. My grandpa is as old as the hills. Yeah, I wonder if he's happy with that. Hopefully he's not watching. Because, well, yes, to say people are old, it's not bad. It's not offensive. So, idioms. We've done idioms. Let us switch for a moment. What comes after idioms? I think we're on our last activity. Our last activity, in the last 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to do a Kahoot review. We're going to review the language that we've looked at. If you're new, all you need to do is keep watching on another browser or another web page. Go to kahoot.it. This is the address. You're going to need to go to kahoot.it. We're going to play a game together, all of us together, where we're going to look at language we've seen in today's lesson. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm going to get onto Kahoot and sort this out. Log in. Why do I have to log in? Don't you know who I am? It's me. Come on. Me.com. Oh, seriously? Okay. So let's log in. So forgetful. Paola says, recommend to play Kahoot on another device. Yep, that's a good point. I think that's a good idea. So I'll just set it up. It won't take long. So keep watching me, but you can play the game on another device. That is absolutely true. So let's turn on personalized learning, which means you can go and play it later as well if you like. Okay, so let me share this with you. You can see what's happening. Okay, so you need to go to Kahoot, and the pin that you put in is 3880531. Right? You can go to www.kahoot.it or download the app. Go in, put in your name, and then the game pin is 3880531. Kavindi says, please add subtitles in English to your video. Well, that's interesting, Kavindi. I am in the process, actually, of adding subtitles and captions to my recorded videos. Of course, I cannot on the live video, but on the recorded videos, more and more of them will be having captions. Not subtitles, but captions, which means you have the choice to put them on or turn them off. Right, that's a bit big. Let's get the screen a bit smaller. We've got 200 people in. Right, okay. Don't worry if you can't get in. You can put your answer in the chat box in the comment. Okay. I'm in, but I don't see anything. Aurelia, have you put in the game pin, the number 3880531? And when you put your name, yes, there's nothing to see yet. Just wait a moment. Okay, we've got a lot of people. Let's take this off. Let's start. Countryside. Number 1. Cows blank in the fields. The meaning is eat. Cows blank in the fields. And the meaning is eat. You've got 30 seconds. You're welcome, Aurelian. You can put the answers in the chat as well. Fatty's Kitchen, you are late. We're almost finished. Well done, Inferno. Well done, all of you. Look at that. 179 of you got graze. Graze, meaning to eat grass. So this is for the cows and the sheep. They eat grass or they graze in the fields. Well done. Let's see who's the fastest. Bao is the fastest. Let me make that a bit smaller with 962. Well done, Bao. Great, you're in the lead. Question number 2. A small village is called a blank. A small village is called a blank. What do we call a small village in England? I love this question. And those of you who like Shakespeare will enjoy this. Sagar, well done. Su Tao, well done. Lob, well done. Hooray! 181 people said Hamlet. So a hamlet is a small village. You'll notice all of these are famous characters in Shakespeare plays as well. Okay, let's move on. Who's leading now? Donald Trump is up at the top. Well, there's a surprise. And thank you, Keith, is second. How interesting. I didn't know Donald was learning English. Well, let's move on. Question 3. The farmer is blank the cow. The farmer is blank the cow. Be careful with this one. Well done, Mark and Helen. 5 seconds left. Well done, Epram. The farmer is milking the cow. Well done, right? The others expressing milk, extracting milk, squeezing milk, right? But the verb is to milk the cow. Well done. That's great. Nice. So, where are we? SD Rocks, thank goodness. SD Rocks is up in first place. It seems that we are attracting a lot of politicians today. It looks like Tony Blair also needs to brush up on his English. Probably as he's retired, he's got a bit lazy and needs to improve his English. But you're very welcome, Tony. SD Rocks is up first. Let's carry on. The last question. I love hiking in the hills and blank up the views. I love hiking in the hills and blank up the views. Up is a key word here. Here we go. Oh, well done. Let's face it. Well done, Inferno. Now, well done. Right. 176 got soaking up the views. Fantastic. Well done because it's taking in but soaking up the views. Perfect. Let's see what the podium is. What was the final result? Alexander, well done. Tony, well done, sir. And number one, SD Rocks. Fantastic. Nice. Well done, SD. Oh dear. Excellent. That was it. That's the Kahoo reviewed. We've come full circle, right? Today, gosh, we've done lots of stuff today. We've had, what have we had? Hang on a minute. Come over here. Today we've been looking at the topic of countryside, right? We've been looking at lots of different vocabulary, including collocations, right? The power of collocations for your fluency. We've been looking at farm, learning how to rear livestock. We've also been doing the pros and cons of living in the countryside. We've looked at some interesting listening and the language around that of the countryside. Idioms. I wonder if you are the early bird that catches the worm. And of course, we've done the final review. That, my friends, brings us to the end of today's class, all about the countryside. Thank you so much for being here. Do remember, if you're on YouTube, right, you can subscribe to the channel. You can turn on notifications if you want to find out about coming up videos coming up. Is that right? If you're on Facebook, great. If you're not, you can find me on Facebook. I'm there at the Keith Speaking Academy, but we also have a Facebook group if you want to join, called the Keith's Mastermind Community. Have a look for that and you can come and join us. And of course, if you want more information, keithspeakingacademy.com. That's where I've got the website, lots of resources for free about the about IELTS speaking, the test part 1, 2 and 3. There's different things there you can find out. You can also go later and download the notes from today's lesson. We've made lots of notes. I'll tidy them up. I'll upload them to the website. That'll take me about 2 or 3 hours because I'm slow, yes, but because I'm hungry and I'm going to go for a little snack, a little something in between doing that. Great. Well, listen, guys, it's fantastic to see you again this week. Thank you for all of your contributions. Really, really enjoyable. Lots of good language coming out. I hope this is helping you improve your English to help you give better answers and get a higher score on IELTS speaking. That's it from today. I look forward to seeing you next week. Look out on Saturday for a video. It'll be recorded and it'll be out about midday on Saturday. I think you're going to like it. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm going to ask you tomorrow in the Facebook group and see if you can guess. Okay, take care, my friends. Lovely to see you all, and bye-bye.